Hey guys, OG Silverback here. And today I'm really excited for you guys to meet a good friend of mine, my mentor, my martial arts instructor, Casey Lake. And Casey's a great guy. I learned a lot about Sistema, Jiu-Jitsu, just life in general. And I'm really excited to interview Casey today. Hey, Casey, welcome to the OG Silverback channel. How you doing?
What's up, OG? Thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here and talk to you today about martial arts and this Warriors Den collective we got going on.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, guys. Casey and I have been talking about this ever since we used to train together at his dojo in Monterey. Casey has had several dojos. He was nice enough to let me train there with him. A couple other guys taught us a lot of good discipline. Hey, so Casey, I wanted to see if you can tell the guys how you and I met.
Okay, so me and OG met back when I was like 17, 16 years old or something. And it was a good time. And then, well, actually, I was around like 19 years old, actually.
Right.
And at that time, I was doing an Uchideshi program, which is a live-in inside student at a dojo, and I was training 5 different martial arts for up to 8 hours a day, sometimes on a daily basis for a year. So during that time, I was just like super obsessed with martial arts, mostly Japanese martial arts, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Ninjutsu, Bato Jitsu, and Karate. At that time, and that was Japanese martial arts was my main foundation growing up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And me and OG, we just met and we just clicked immediately, both fire energy, just really passionate about training and just like really there to get the gold, the gold nuggets and like, let's work this out. Let's do this. And I really always felt OG's energy. Obviously, he's like one of the most positive, people I've ever met, and humble people I've ever met, just really ready to be a sponge and soak up whatever. So OG set a really good example for me when I was a kid, and I really looked up to him, and we just really gravitated to each other that way.
Hey, I
Yeah,
appreciate that, Casey. And I don't know if you remember
yeah,
this, but when I came to train with you in the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu studio where you guys were teaching Aikido and Ninjutsu and all kind of other arts, I actually had my own studio in
yeah.
Salinas where I was teaching cage fighting and Commando Krav
Oh
Maga.
yeah, you're so ninja.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I used to do, man, I used to come there and train with you guys, and all the stuff you would teach me, I would
Yeah,
take it back to my dojo and modify it and add it
totally.
to my combatives course, man.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, that's what, that's the way, just taking all the golden seeds and nuggets from everywhere,
Right.
and so we can serve, that should be the greatest mission of every warrior. And that's what I loved about you, because you were just OG's just like the ultimate ninja.
Well, what I
Just
liked
coming in
about you,
there acting like you don't know anything.
well, no, what's important, Casey, this is my belief. Like
Yeah,
when I walk into another person's dojo, I'm there to learn. I'm not there to come in there and say, oh, I know this,
yeah,
this, this, and that. I'm here to learn, from the feet of the master, right?
yeah,
And so, what I liked about you when I met you, you were always open to learning more in different martial arts. Like you weren't just set on one martial art. You were like an eclectic student like me.
yeah.
You like to learn a bunch of different martial arts, and I think that's how me and you really became tight, man.
Yeah, definitely seen that broader perspective, of integrating everything and bringing it together. And that's the excitement of the journey,
Yep.
instead of keeping oneself so limited in an isolated world, where,
Yeah.
where egos get inflamed over, the silliest things. And another martial artist, comes over and smacks him over the head. Like, what are you thinking? So that's a very, I think, a naive way, an immature way to look at martial arts. You got to be humble and always ready to learn, because there's
Right.
always more to learn,
Right.
you know?
It's interesting though, Casey. I found that over the years, a lot of martial artists they treat their specific, genre or art like a religion. Like for example, like if you try to have like an Islamic person talk to a Christian, man, it's like
Yeah,
oil and water, right? And a
yeah,
lot of martial artists, man, they think their martial art is the only way to go. And what I found is like through studying the history of martial arts, there's been actually an evolution of martial arts from the very beginning. I mean, there's
yeah,
arguments of where it started, but let's say it started in China for the sake of this conversation. As it went through Japan and Korea and Taiwan and India and all these other places, each country added their own interpretation.
yeah.
So that's why I like learning different martial arts. That's why I especially like training with you. So how did you get involved in martial arts in the first place, Casey?
Well, ever since I was a kid, I kind of grew up rough and scrappy. Like you, I grew up with brothers. I had a younger brother and an older brother that are 2 years apart, and we were just always horse playing and fighting and everything. Especially me and my older brother. My older brother was a devious guy when I was a kid, like just
Oh
doing
man.
the craziest stuff, just always giving me a hard time. So I had to, grow up with this alertness, that I could be attacked at any moment.
Right, 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 right.
And so getting into that, I learned a lot, just through just how dogs learn, just by scrapping basically, and watching movies and playing video games like Mortal Kombat. And being a 90s kid, there was enough violence on TV and in the movies in those days where you could
Definitely.
kind of learn and like pick up a lot of stuff. Bloodsport,
Yep.
like all these great martial arts movies that I used to love. And when I was a kid, I was in gymnastics and karate for a little bit, but
Okay.
my parents were so busy they couldn't continue to really take me, So I just read books when I was a kid. Martial arts was always like a really important thing to me, and even when I went to karate when I was a little kid, it was like the most exciting thing in the world to me, man. Like
Right.
throwing kicks and like the instructors telling me to slow down. I'm trying to do these Van Damme kicks,
Right.
just like so fucking ready.
Yeah. The
Like,
warrior.
yeah, man. And um yeah, I had a lot of bullies growing up too, so I had to learn the elements of surprise being a smaller guy when I was a kid, and just being kind of tortured and bullied a lot, because I grew up around my older brother and his friends were like really the bad kids of the town and
Oh
neighborhood
really?
and everything.
Okay.
So even though we're all family, the pecking orders and kids, will be kids. And there was something in the water. Everyone was just bad boys. It was a neighborhood of just bad boys. Just we're all
Wow.
juvenile delinquents,
Okay.
you know. And so I grew up, getting beat a little bit, getting, like at one time I got tied to a tree and beat with sticks and stuff, and
Holy
getting
crap.
held down all the time. Where I had to learn, how to kick people in the nuts from at an early age, and like getting held down and they're tickle torturing me and I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna hock a loogie in this freaking kid's eye right now, and punch him
Right.
in, you know,
Hey, you learned survival, man.
yeah, all sorts of stuff. I'm sure everyone has their stories.
Yeah.
And when I started getting older, and my brother was always into martial arts, like downloading these Shaolin monk videos and stuff, and I'm just like, holy shit, these guys like next level,
Right.
material, living at the temple, like real Shaolin monks. And that it just always imprinted me and always had a knowing, but I grew up in my teenage years a pretty big juvenile delinquent,
Oh really?
like in and out of drug classes and getting
Okay.
kicked out of schools and stuff. And so at those ages, I learned the dark arts, how to lie, cheat, and steal,
Right.
And then
Right.
I, had to, I got busted. And, we have a similar story, a little bit, with,
So you were
getting too,
exposed to crime as well, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
getting too deep in the drugs and everything. And
Yeah.
I was just going way too overboard. And thank the Lord, when I was 19, I got popped, and I had to go to rehab and everything. And I remember being so beat down from being into drugs and that whole lifestyle. I had to throw away my phone and just not talk to anyone because I didn't. I saw some of the lowest stuff that I could see, like some of these people that I was like, at rehab with and stuff, and the people I met through jail and everything, and at an early age, it has a lot of big effect on you. And I just got to realize from an early age, being in an adult rehab center, outpatient, where I'm literally like 19, 18 years old,
Right. Right.
18 years old, with everyone who's like in their 40s and 50s who doing drugs their whole life.
Yeah.
So that was a huge turning point for me.
So what did you take away from that experience, Casey?
That's what I don't prefer, but I learned, I've had knives pulled on me, all sorts of stuff, street stuff. And, I learned how to defend myself mentally, how to stand up for myself, how to be physical, how to put out an aura and demand respect, I mean, you mean business and you're a straight shooter, that you don't want trouble, and you're
Right.
just really strictly business and everything. Right.
Yeah.
And, so even though it was, I was like degrading myself and defiling myself, it taught me a new level of self-respect on the other side going into martial arts, you
Okay.
know. But what really changed that for me was one of my counselors said, "You've dug a hole pretty deep. You know, you should probably start climbing out, right? Or do you want to dig deeper?" I'm
Right.
like, "All
Yeah.
right, I'll start climbing out of the hole."
Okay.
And you know, it taught me a lot of respect for life, you know, and to awaken, because when you're young, you don't know all the harm you're doing to yourself and other people that you're getting involved with in those energies, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, there's a lot of repentance there, you know, that I've had to do.
No, that's a
um
good thing, man.
yeah, and so I remember just being bored as hell one day, you know, no more dealing drugs, no more, none of this, you know, and just like sitting on my couch. I like played video games to get myself off drugs and just locked myself in a room.
Good for you,
And
man.
yeah, I started working out, you know, because at that time I was getting off, you know, I was kind of getting off drugs, right? And so my body was kind of beat up, and so I just started going to the gym, and there's all these buff dudes there like you know, and I'm like this white kid around all these yoked dudes. And I'm just like, fuck it, kept my head down and did the work that I needed to do, and just started, you know, getting on that training. So I've always had a regimented personality, even when I was doing bad things. You know, I started hitting the gym in an
Okay.
extremely disciplined way.
Right.
And then one day I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, I'm just bored as hell. And I had this flash in my mind because when I was 13, I went to a jujitsu school in Monterey. I moved
Okay.
away from the Bay Area to Monterey when I was about like 16 or 17.
Was that a
And
good thing for you?
yeah, and I used to periodically go down and train with Concho Julio Toribio. And
Nice.
then I became of age, 19, you know, kind of getting out of rehab and just starting to work out, bringing my life back together, and like reading positive books, personal development. I'm like, what else is better than integrating all this with martial arts?
Right.
You
Okay.
know, so 19 years old, I had this flash of this precognition of, you know, future events of just tons of jujitsu and throwing each other around and just like, oh yeah, remembering the excitement and the fire of martial arts, you know. And I got up off the couch at that moment, and at the time I was living with my parents, and I just looked at my mom in the face, and I'm like, I'm gonna go sign up for jujitsu right now.
Nice.
And I got in
Nice.
the car. I got in the car, and I went to Concho school, the
Right.
Seibukan Jiu-Jitsu. And, you know, I walk up in there and he's doing class. I remember walking in back and he's doing this Arimi Nage, and someone's just taking this crazy high fall, right? And
Right. Right.
he's just throwing this dude in Arimi Nage over and over. And I'm like, this is fucking great. You know, like I want to do this. And then, you know, he claps, everyone starts training. He walks straight to me and he said, "You're back. Are you ready to
Nice.
begin?"
He remembers you.
Yeah, he remembered me from being a kid.
That's awesome,
And
man.
and so you know, I trained, I got my black belt, and then once I got my black belt,
Well,
he
you got
invited
several
me.
black belts, Casey.
Yeah, and then so after my first degree, he invited me to do the Uchideshi program.
Okay.
And so then, you know, I knocked out a whole bunch of black belts when I was training every single day. You know,
Yeah.
so
A large amount.
yeah. Yeah, so I just hit it running. You know, there's not a lot of places like that anymore where you can do such intensive training.
Hey, dude, you were so lucky, man.
Yeah, I'm so lucky I got that experience because it shaped me up all sorts, you know?
Hey, because just so you know, Casey,
Yeah.
I wanted to do the Uchideshi program as well, you know,
Yeah.
because Concho and I, we're from the
Mhm.
same part of Puerto Rico, our ancestry, from the same island of Puerto Rico, right? You know, same special forces background, all that stuff. And he's like, hey, do Uchideshi with Casey. But, you
Yeah.
know, I had my little daughter with me, man. I had a full-time job. I just
Yeah.
couldn't see how I could work it out. But I was so impressed with you, man, being an Uchideshi. You were so confident, and you're the first person that taught me that a younger dude, man, can be very wise in teaching an older guy, because just the way you carried yourself, you're very confident. In my opinion, you were the best black belt there out of all, I don't know, 50 or 60 that were
Oh,
there.
thanks,
To
man.
me, you were the best black belt. And matter of fact,
Yeah.
I got all the courses from white belt to black belt where you're the star
Yeah.
dude on the DVDs. Like when I go
Yeah.
over my techniques and I watch it, go, there's the Casey I know, man.
Yeah. Young Casey.
Yeah. So what led to you getting your own dojo? Because I remember we were
Yeah.
training together, and
Hmm.
then I had to really start focusing on my cage fighting, you know,
Yeah.
Jim. And then next thing I knew, you had opened up your own dojo. What led to
Yeah.
that?
So during that time, the next years, I really got heavily into Chinese martial arts and Russian martial arts, and I was doing some boxing and wrestling there too. But the esoteric stuff like really drew me in, like the
Right,
meditation and like developing, going deeper into the mysticism and stuff.
right.
And so Bagua really fulfilled that need. And my little brother, he didn't want to do the jujitsu with me, right? He's like, my brother's at the school, nah. So he went
Right.
and trained the Chinese martial arts,
Nice.
and he's gone really far in the Chinese martial arts. And so I started learning from him and different teachers as well. And
Okay.
so I started soaking in the Tai Chi and the Bagua and the internal stuff and just reading books on it, just kind of lightly at first. And then I got really into different styles of Bagua, Yin style Bagua. I got into it for a long time, and a few others. And it was just a lot of fun. But then one day someone passed me a DVD of Sistema of Vladimir Vasiliev. And I was like, oh my freaking God, my whole life changed, because I was traveling back and forth to Japan studying ninjutsu.
I
And
remember that. Yeah.
yeah,
I used to always want to go with you, man, but you would just
yeah,
take off.
yeah, it was good times, man. I've luckily got to train, and travel a lot through Asia. We can talk about that another time.
Right.
But I saw Vladimir just like punching and kicking and doing these crazy hits, and moving all liquid and like up and down from the ground and like knife fighting and the special forces Russian background thing that he has. And I'm just like, they're like crawling through the dirt and wrestling in water and throwing each other up at trees and throwing shovels and knives. I'm just like, this is like really the next level of like ninja training that I really wanted,
Right. Right. Right.
So, I started using that as supplementary material, training with my, like ninjutsu guys, Bujinkan guys and everything. And at that time, my Japanese martial arts teacher, he really liked everything like in his Japanese way, right?
Oh, I remember.
So
I remember.
we started feuding a little bit about, me cross training too much,
Right. Right.
and I understand his viewpoint. He was trying to keep me like,
In the box. Keep you in the
yeah,
box. Yeah.
yeah. But I couldn't even contain myself.
Hey, man, you can't
You
keep
know,
a fire in a box. It's got to explode,
yeah,
man. It's got to grow. Yeah.
yeah, man. And so I started cross training too much, and I'm like, okay, if you don't like that, well, I'm just gonna go do more of it, because he was kind of like my dad. So there was
Right.
like, there was a little bit of rebellious nature there.
Sure.
And so I started flying and going to all of Vladimir's trainings, so all over the place. I went to one in Japan. I went to one in Florida, LA, Canada a few times, Vancouver,
Nice.
and started training with Martin Wheeler a lot too.
Okay.
And,
He's in
a
LA,
bunch of
right?
other people. What's up?
Martin Wheeler's in LA. He's in Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
he's in Beverly Hills. He's
Beverly
awesome.
Hills. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's this one dude in the military in the DLI in Monterey, and he was an instructor. And so that's how I really got into it. I started training with him.
Nice.
He didn't really have anyone of like my background to train with. So and he's an Aries brother too. We just started training hardcore and
Nice.
just trading information all the time. And then, I got to a point where, like I know my body, I know my movement, I know these principles. And, went and got my instructorship through Sistema, through all the training with Vlad. And, I've been lucky to get my ass kicked by Vlad many times. Training with a lot of his students and everything. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dominican Republic too, went there. And, so I opened up a school on
In
the other
Monterey.
side of town, other side of town from my sensei, and he didn't really like that.
All right.
And so, I didn't want to compete jujitsu with him, so I started teaching pretty much Sistema.
Sistema, right.
Yeah. But I actually called it the Integrated Martial Arts School because I was teaching an integration of Bagua, Sistema, Jiu-Jitsu, Ninjutsu, and I had some MMA guys there too. So we were just doing everything. That. You know, and my logo, the sword and the wheel.
That is nice, man. I got to get some of those shirts from you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we study all directions, the big circles, the small circles, all the lines and directions of movement. Really my style of training, I like to break everything down incrementally to the common denominators and understand what's going on mechanically, not just like, oh, I'm doing this, you know, some weird Japanese name lock,
Hmm.
I'm like, no, let's break down what the wrist, how the wrist moves, the internal movement principles, the relaxation, the breathing, and bring a bigger scope to training. And instead of just doing someone else's like traditional way of doing an art,
Right.
I think more mechanical. I like mechanics,
And that's
you
why I
know?
like training
Yeah.
with you, Casey. I don't know if you remember when I came
Mhm.
to your school. Matter of fact, I was selling technology and I had to get some lunch and I went to this burrito place in Salinas. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, that looks like my dude Casey. He's like, hey man, that looks like OG. I was like, what's up, man? I said,
Oh
where you
yeah,
been? Cause
man.
I was looking for you, man, for years. Cause I went to your place in Broadway. You had a place in Broadway and
Yep.
then it was shut down. I didn't know where you were. So then we had the burrito together. You gave me your business card. I started training Sistema with you. And guys, what I like about Casey's way of training, like he says, he breaks down the mechanics, man, to the very essentials, man. So you really understand how the body works in each and every way. I think you're a master of what's it called? What's it called? The human body, like anatomy and
Yeah.
physiology.
Yeah.
You're a master of physiology, and I really enjoyed training with you there. I enjoyed getting my ass kicked, man. I was hoping to get
Yeah.
certified in Sistema, but then the landlord came, and then you had to move on to Los Angeles, man.
Yeah, so I had that place for about 4.5 years,
Yeah,
and yeah, the landlord decided to sell the building that I was renting, and someone bought it cash, and I couldn't compete with that
right,
at the time. And so, I had many years of training there, super grateful. And yeah, then I decided to take a break and do a lot of solo training for a while. So I lived in the woods for 2 years in
right,
Santa Cruz in the redwoods, and I was doing
nice,
a lot of my own deeper internal Nagong, doing the internal alchemy training,
right,
where I bust a nut for 100 days at a time, doing all this crazy
right, right, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because it's really intense work and I really
Oh,
wanted to go
definitely,
deep into it. And I was lucid dreaming every night, like, contacting celestial beings in my dreams and
right,
stuff. It
right,
was
yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, but then I met a girl and that's taken me down to LA.
Okay, that's good, man. Because that's
Yeah.
where me and you we hooked up again in L.A. when I actually went down there to meet Big Hurt and when with the fresh out
Yeah.
interviews and everything. We was hanging out in Venice. It was good times, man. You got good energy. One thing I like about you,
Yeah.
Casey, man, you're very confident. The way you carry yourself, like you were saying, you're very confident, you're very strong, and you have a sense of being like the energy you put out is positive. But people know you're not a guy to be fucked with, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I appreciate hanging
Thank
out
you.
with you like that because you got
Yeah.
positive energy actually rubs off on me, man. Like you model what it's like to be a modern gentleman, like you're very calm and sophisticated, but you can bring the fire whenever it needs
Yeah.
to be, you know what I mean?
Just like you, man. That's what I love about this, warrior camaraderie. We're all just having a great time, but we can handle business,
Yeah.
and
So
not.
what does the future hold for you, Casey? What do you got going on in the near future, man?
So right now I'm down here in Long Beach, through COVID. It's it's been a little challenging, honestly. I was looking to start a new school, but the martial arts schools are not happening right now. So
Right,
I'm training a good handful of guys, just kind of smaller, intimate thing, and we're really refining what I'm teaching them, what I want to teach for my next school and the next evolution.
right.
And so I'll be releasing more videos on YouTube. You can look me up, Casey Lake, on Instagram as well, Facebook. And I'm going to be pumping out, a lot of technical stuff as far as Sistema, you know, um, all sorts of training, Bagua, Tai Chi, Qigong stuff as well, and Jujitsu, Ninjutsu, and just talking about kind of like what it means to be a warrior and to study and to train and to stay disciplined in the modern day and how to integrate that to other areas of your life, and really,
Right,
I also do a lot of NLP and hypnotherapy and trance work. So like how do we get past our bullshit? What exercises can we do to really make ourselves face ourself and gain strength and character? And even if anything, keeping a structured training daily routine to know you have some discipline and power and build that spirit as well.
right.
So what I'm working on is just a lot of training right now. I'm
Okay,
just kind of really at the bit and the bone.
okay.
I got really fascinated with day trading there for a little bit, right?
I
But that was
remember.
that
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
roller coaster, man. I had to exercise every martial art, mental warrior principle, man. Like I don't know if anyone's ever tried to day trade, but it's a crazy learning experience.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so that's what's going on. Haven't you come down here in LA and training more? I'm talking to some guys right now. There's an idea about doing a men's retreat here soon.
Okay.
I've hosted other retreats too of
I
different
remember.
kinds,
Yeah.
and but I really want to do like a men's warrior group, and this is something we should talk about too. Going out to the woods and doing some survival training. You can show us some of that, how to soldier training, kill some squirrels and eat
Oh,
them.
definitely, man. You remember Tyler? Remember we had dinner with Tyler and his wife. The
Yeah,
special ops dude, the black
yeah,
ops dude, big dude.
yeah.
That's what he specializes in. So we can collab together. But just so you know, I wanted to plant a bug in your ear, man. When you're ready to get a studio, I want to go in with you, man, so we can start doing some blended martial arts, like shooting videos, man. Maybe putting some stuff
Oh,
on your website, in addition to the YouTube channels.
yeah, absolutely. It's time to get pumping and to get the message out there, and really stand always and strong for what we're about.
Right, and also I want to start
Mhm.
doing that bodyguard stuff with you again once you start that up, man. I want to be a part of that journey because we were
Yeah,
traveling
that's
all
right.
over with the rich guys, man. I really couldn't travel with you because I had my
Right.
daughter, but now that she's gone, man, I just want us to be like Batman and Robin, just being warriors all over the globe, spreading a positive message, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And dude, I want to get in the suits too, doing the
Definitely,
training for all the women. I've been big on the women's self-defense training in the big padded suits, and
yeah, I
yeah,
remember that.
you're so great at that, man. I love that stuff.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good experience, man. So hey, is there any positive message you can give to the younger guys who are maybe, dabbling into crime and getting in trouble and on the wrong side of law like we used to be on, man?
Yeah, life is short. There's a lot of regrets, in doing that stuff. Obviously, we're getting over regret. Life is what you make it every day. What you put in is what you get out. A lot of people don't, have a sense of that they're killing themselves and they're killing everyone else around them, because the reverse of the golden rule is you're willing to do to yourself what you're willing to do to other people.
Right.
And so selling drugs and everything, you don't even realize you're killing yourself. Like, oh, here, you want to kill yourself too? And it's just check yourself, like we both had to,
Yeah.
and check yourself. What are you standing for? What do you represent? Like, really invest in yourself. Everyone goes through their own learning curve. I know a lot of successful people that have gone out, that have come out of jail,
Sure.
and felt the burn and the sting of retardation.
Right. Right.
Their own stupidity. And so, and the funny thing is about those people, a lot of them have so much drive and passion and just want something. So it's like, find a martial arts school, find a good group of people, because who you hang out with is who you become,
That's very
you know?
important, man.
Yeah. If you're looking at gangs and drugs, just cut it out of your life. It's not going to take you anywhere. That's like Satan's game. You got Satan's cock in your mouth. You don't even
Yep.
know it.
Basically.
They think they're all hard, but they're just gagging on that,
Right.
you know? And
Hard.
you're gonna choke and die. Satan
Yeah.
doesn't care if you die on his dick.
No,
Straight
he
up.
doesn't care. Yeah.
Nope.
That's his
He
specialty.
actually likes it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my message is get, for the younger guys, get up off of Satan's cock, and you
I
just
like
worship
that.
darkness. It's just young and naive. Playing in the darkness is fun, but think about giving, what the next world you want to create, because you break your character, it takes a long time to reintegrate, through training, through having good teachers, because we still have those messed up tendencies, and we carry a lot of that trauma with us that can ruin things on the path forward because we weren't listening to our inner wisdom and guidance. So
Exactly.
start listening to your inner wisdom and guidance, and not to your inclination of like, oh, just one more cigarette, one more line, or I'm just
No.
gonna do this drug deal one more time.
No.
And start shaping up and direct yourself, read good books. Everyone has it to be in them to be totally successful and a great person, have everything they want in their life. You don't have to hurt anyone else to get what you want in life.
Right. Because we all create our reality, Casey. We're creators, man. Hey,
Yeah,
this was a great interview, man, and hopefully,
yeah.
we can get together on a regular basis. But hey, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, Casey, how would they go about getting a hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website and subscribe to my email list, or you can even send me a personal email at caseylake@gmail.com. I train down here in Long Beach. I do private sessions right now, and would love to meet anyone in the LA area. If you're interested in Chinese, Japanese, Russian martial arts and an integrative, training perspective. And yeah, caseylake.com. I'll be doing more events down here in LA is
What
with
about
women's
your
self-defense training.
NLP and hypnosis?
Yeah, and NLP and hypnosis is, part of the training that I do when, doing the warrior training to break down the old negative emotions that hold us back in life and to transform those and integrate those and nurture those to lead us forward into a life and face our fears. So yeah, that's a method of trance, that in ancient cultures, they were in trance a lot more because they didn't have all this, crazy modern day stuff that keeps us in,
And
such.
distractions, man.
Yeah, there's more spirit. It's easy to be more spiritual back then, and we've
Right.
lost that of being around the campfire more and talking about stories and spiritual stories and expressing ourselves. So trance state consciousness is actually something that's in the traditional warrior pastimes of Native Americans, African Americans, the samurai, the ninja. All sorts of different warriors all had a spiritual path of initiation.
Mm-hmm.
So I use that in for healing, to getting the most out of life, for facing your fear, and to really help resetting the consciousness and programming things to get yourself in alignment and getting it deep back in there and cut away that bullshit, those shadows that are just right here that you
Mm-hmm.
can't see,
Mm-hmm.
and getting those things like, who's hitting me? Who's
Right.
hitting me? Oh, it's me. I don't need to do that anymore. So waking up.
Right. Hey, well, that was awesome, Casey, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on to the channel. Look forward to hearing from you again, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Rico. Thank you, OG. And yeah, it was great to be on. Let's get on some more good training and keep twisting those wrists and throwing each other on the mat, man. I'm so excited to see you soon, and let's get on some training, man.
All right, buddy.
Yep. All right, cheers.